Hi, Year 2. Mr. Lavelle here, reading the next chapter of The Girl Who Thought She Was a Dog by Claire Balding. Right, we've reached chapter 6. This chapter's called Fitness. It wasn't long before Fennel's school days became more bearable. She would have a few minutes of being extra dog-like with Twiglet each morning, and bit by bit she found it easier to make new friends. In fact, her classmates soon started to appreciate Fennel's natural instincts for playing catch or piggy in the middle, and applauded her when she made a particularly good save in football. But her friendship with Twiglet never wavered, and the two of them remained inseparable as the next few years went by. One sunny day, just after Fennel had started Year 2, she had an idea. She and Twiglet were rolling around together in the park, while Grandma watched fondly from a bench. Fennel felt so proud of the connection she shared with Twiglet and how at ease they were around each other. She looked at her best friend and announced quietly to him in Doggish, "I want us to go to Crufts." Crufts was the biggest dog show in the world, and Fennel had been glued to the television for the whole of last year's competition at the Birmingham NEC. Twiglet rolled onto his back and looked at her with curious eyes. She grinned and turned to her grandma. "Can we go to Crufts next year?" she said out loud. "What a lovely idea!" Grandma exclaimed. "What would you like to watch, the showing and the flyball?" "I don't just want to watch," Fennel said. "I want us to compete." "Well, there's no harm in trying to enter," said Grandma. "I'll happily take you along. You'll have to qualify at the local show first, though, and you've only got 6 weeks to get in tip-top shape. You'd better start practicing." And so, for the next few weeks, Fennel and Twiglet practised every day. Fennel trotted Twiglet up and down the sitting room. She put him on the kitchen table and examined him, feeling his teeth and under his tummy for any lumps or bumps. She groomed his coat until it gleamed. Then, when the day of the show came, Rosie gave Fennel a long hug before she left to go to work. "I'm sorry I can't be there today, sweetheart." "That's all right, Mum," Fennel replied. "It's only the local show. You'll be there when we compete at Crufts." Twiglet gave a bark of agreement, and Rosie kissed them both on the tops of their heads. "Of course I will. Good luck." When it came to the dog shows, there are very strict rules. Twiglet and Fennel were entered into the class for boxers, of course, and, as the judge approached, Fennel did her best to make her face wrinkly and to adopt the broad-chested stance that judges look for in boxers. There was a confusing moment as the judge went to examine Twiglet's teeth and found Fennel offering her mouth as well. He didn't seem to know what to do, so he examined them both. The other owners tutted and shook their heads. Some of them laughed, but Fennel didn't care. They watched the rest of the competitors from the sidelines, excitement mounting. When it came to handing out the prizes, Fennel and Twiglet lined up expectantly. Fennel knew she had shown herself and Twiglet as well as she possibly could, and was very confident of receiving at least a commendation. The ringside announcer was calling forward people and their dogs to give them prizes. The list was getting longer and longer, and still their names had not been mentioned. Fennel started to worry. Maybe she had just made them both look stupid. Finally, the last prize was handed out. They had won nothing. Fennel and Twiglet trudged back to Grandma, both their heads hung in disappointment. I'm sorry," Fennel whispered. Twiglet nudged her hand with his nose. "Don't worry, darling," said Grandma. "At least you gave it a go." "But I so wanted us to go to Crufts together." Fennel was speaking very softly, and Grandma could barely hear her. "I just wanted to show them what it was like to have a dog who is so understanding and kind." She smiled sadly at Twiglet, who licked her hand comfortingly. As they walked back to the car, Fennel heard cheering. Twiglet heard it too and cocked his head. The noise was coming from an arena in the middle of the showground. They could hear an excited commentator and lots of people whooping and hollering. Do you want to go and have a look before we head home? Grandma asked. Fennel nodded. Anything to take her mind off the embarrassment of the failed showing class. As they neared the arena, Fennel spotted lots of coloured poles arranged into mini show jumps. There was a red and black ramp going up steeply on one side and down the other, like a pointed bridge, a seesaw tunnel and a series of bendy poles. I think you'll enjoy this, said Grandma. They stood at the side of the arena for half an hour watching dogs fly round the course, their owners pointing to jumps and encouraging them to go faster. It's amazing, said Fennel excitedly. The dogs seem to know exactly where to go next, and they're really enjoying it. They love it, said Grandma. It's very good for their fitness, and you can see the good ones really work as a team with their owners. A team, repeated Fennel quietly. Yes, that's exactly what they are. The seed of an idea was planted, and by the time they got home, Fennel knew what she wanted to do. How did it go, darling? Asked her mum as they came inside. Oh, we didn't win anything, replied Fennel briskly. But it doesn't matter because I've got a better idea. Rosie looked at her daughter in astonishment. If you need me, continued Fennel, I'll be in the garden. I need to build an agility course. And that's the end of the chapter. The next one, which we'll read next time, is chapter 7, Crufts.